Sam Eig was a prominent early Jewish community developer, real estate developer.
Sam Eig, I don't know where to start. Horatio Alger's story is a self-made man.
He was born in 1898 in Russia, son of a merchant. He immigrated to the United States in August 1914 to escape the upheaval associated with World War I.
He always told us that the way he got to the District of Columbia was that he went to the Nickelodeons and he saw movies of cowboys. And he decided, what could be better for a life for a nice young immigrant Jew from a village in Russia? To be a cowboy. So he got on a train to go to Nebraska to be a cowboy. On the way down there, he was with some workmen who were coming down here to finish the Union Station. And they talked to him and they said, well, do you have your stake together? He said, you need money to be a cowboy? They said, yeah, to buy a horse and stuff like that. So I don't need money. They said, well, there's a lot of good work here in D.C. Why don't you get off, work with us, get your money together, and go out west? My grandfather always told us that he got off the train, he just never got back on. And so he was here. He had a corner grocery store. He pretty early got into building individual houses. And then he got into the liquor business. Right after Prohibition, he was very successful. That was on Upper Georgia Avenue in Northwest DC. To this day, I still run into people that remember Eig's liquor store on Georgia Avenue.
He owned land throughout the county, developing parts of Silver Spring and Chevy Chase.
He also built the Washingtonian Center in Gaithersburg in 1957.
It started out as a motel, 97-room motel in the shape of a W. So he was thinking about seeing it from the sky with a restaurant and a swimming pool. It was the end of the world back then. You couldn't get there. There was no interstate. But once again, he was always looking ahead. He then had this restaurant. He developed this enormous family-style buffet restaurant. He built a golf course. He then had the Shady Grove Music Fair, first at 10 and then enclosed. Then he built another golf course. So it kept developing. He never acted or sang. He never played golf. I don't remember swimming. Maybe he did back in the old days, okay? But he kept building these things.
He lived in a very humble apartment in Silver Spring. Then he would spend time in an even humbler apartment in Gaithersburg at the Washingtonian. It was a little two-room unit above the motel office. They were short people, our grandparents, which was a good thing because their ceilings weren't even full in these little apartments that they lived in. His wife, Esther, was this teeny saint. I mean, just would never stop taking care of whoever she was around, him and all the children. His two sons were somewhat prolific, and then they had, I'm one of 6 boys. My uncle had 5 children. And as we go through each generation now, there's a chromosome missing or something because they're all males. I mean, I don't know, it's 11 out of 15 in one generation and 12 out of 16 in the next. So the name's going to be around for a while.
By the end of his career, Sam Eig had helped change the Montgomery County landscape from rural to suburban. He was also a prominent philanthropist, providing land for synagogues, churches, and the Red Cross. He helped support the development and building of Holy Cross Hospital.
And he used to tell me, and I think this sums it up, he says, every time I make $1, I'm going to give 50 cents to somebody.
He died in 1982 at the age of 83.
A couple of years after he had passed, we were approached by Montgomery County, basically, and asked our feelings about them naming the highway after him. We decided to do it, obviously, but it was quite an honor.
And the first part of Sam Eig Highway went from 270 to the Washingtonian development. Later it was expanded to the Shady Grove Metro, and then today it connects into the Inter-County Connector.
It's very hard to explain how good it feels inside to be driving with, I have a 3- and 5-year-old grandsons now, to be driving on that and to turn to them and say, you're on Great Grandpa's highway.
You know, there's a moment of reflection every time. It's cool. I mean, it's very cool, especially for the reasons that it was done. Very, you know, humble, charitable man.